There we go. Okay. Yeah, we're in business. Okay. So, Italian longsword. This is what I've been practicing. So, there are basically about 7 guards that you really need to know, or at least when you're starting out, because we're doing unarmored combat. Armored combat in of itself is its own deal, so there are basically 7 postures or 7 guards that you really need to know. Um, Again, this is Italian sword fighting, so I'm studying the Fiore manuscript. So there's the long guard, or posta longa, which is the guard in front of you, like this. Hands low, tip high. Really basic stuff. But then there's also the guard of the lady, which is the women's guard. So sword over the right shoulder, and your arms tucked in like this, so that's if you ever, so it's basically a cutting kind of pose, or a cutting guard, so you can deflect by cutting downward at a 50-degree angle. Same applies. Woman's guard on the left, you come down like this, 50-degree angle. You can also come around on the you can also come around the head to kind of fake people out, again keeping that 15-degree angle. This is called dente, which is basically if you're cutting from a falling blow, from a 15-degree angle, you want to cut ideally from teeth to knee. That's literally what fendente means, teeth to knee. So that's generally what that kind of cut means. So that's generally what this maneuver is generally made to execute. But then there's also our window guards, which is made for parrying, some blocking, and primarily stabbing, like so. Fendente on the, I mean, not fendente, but Windows guard. So, like so. Window guard on the right. Stab forward. And then there's a lot of ways that you can use to parry people from here. Like you can come this way, you can come down and strike a blow on the right. And that requires a little bit of footwork here, which is, unfortunately, I don't have full body tracking, and I can't really show that very effectively here, but I'm doing my best. But anyway, after those guards there's also crown guard, which also I like to call the oh shit guard, which is basically you literally take the sword, rotate it 90 degrees, and then you can really put this whatever angle that you want in order to block oncoming attacks. This is useful also for returning the thrust or exchanging the thrust, but we'll get more into that as we go. Okay, so returning the thrust, exchanging the thrust, window guard, ladies guard. What else is there? There are the low guards. Now, one of my favorite sword fighting movies happens to be Kingdom of Heaven, but one thing gets really, really wrong. That movie gets really, really wrong. Is Liam Neeson says something like, "Never attack from the low guard. Always, you should choose a high guard." Well, no, that's not always true. If you want to use a low guard, there's a lot of purposes for that, and if you're fighting in bloused combat or unarmored combat, this is especially handy for striking the hands. So you have boar's tooth, which is especially handy for faking people out or really just sweeping up and stabbing, like so. Then there's the middle iron. There's the middle iron gate, which is also really good at faking people out. Basically, you lean forward and you say, "Hello, fellow sir. Would you like to have some of my head?" And when that happens, you basically back out, and then you come up from the hands. A lot of ways to do this. So boar's tooth, middle iron door, and then full iron door. Basically, this aims to do the same thing, but this is really good at parrying left-handed opponents. Very specifically left-handed opponents. Or just, just really parrying at all. Boar's Tooth and Middle Iron Gate are really good at parrying projectiles. So things like arrows, or if you want to be like Aragorn in the Lord of the Rings, blocking the frickin', the knife throw in Fellowship. That's basically what he did here, like that, basically. But yeah, it totally works. After that, there is then you're starting to get into some ninja shit. So over here in Fiore's manual, the Flower of Battle, then you're getting to something called the long tail, or what what my club likes to call the lion's tail. Boar's tooth, lion's tail, stands to reason. But this is generally used for a "hey, come at me, bro" kind of stance. A lot of people will probably think, "Oh, I want to come in down from below," right? Well, problem is that if you have a really um, short sword, if you have if you have a really long sword, it gets stuck in the ground like this, which is not ideal. So, for Italian longsword, you actually want a long sword that's a little bit shorter than you might think. This one I want to say is about 120 centimeters or 3.5 from tip to pommel, um, which is generally about the length of my sword. A German longsword would be a little more like 4 feet, and with this, it'd be a little bit more difficult to come in from the bottom. But anyway, that's really diverting from the point. Even in the Italian swordsman manual, you don't really want to come in from the bottom. Generally, this is more like a psyching people out, or really more like, faking someone out, catching someone on unawares. So, hey, come at me, bro. I'm gonna come in and said, oh, your sword is behind you. How are you not? How are you gonna attack me? Aha, surprise! Come in from the top. So that's generally how the long tail works. It's ninja shit. And the great thing about Fiore's manual is that, it was written about 500 years ago and wasn't really made general to the available public. So things like this, turns out, was actually meant to be kept secret from the peasantry. So he said, hey, don't tell anybody stuff like this. This is for you know, the higher class. These are for the knights and for the nobility. You know, if you go around teaching regular people this, we're gonna have to deal with an uprising, and then that's not cool. But yes,